Good morning, folks. Welcome back to the farm. Another beautiful day here on the farm. I got to run some water down to the sheep, and I'm going to try my best not to have a repeat video of something we've already had on the channel here. But our ram has escaped once again. He's down there in ladies' territory, which is not desirable whatsoever. So I previously did some tricks with a bag of grain and some alleyways around the corrals. Managed to get him back. Puppies aren't getting along this morning. So I'm going to try and do that again, and hopefully we can get him home where he needs to be. So what I don't want to repeat is where I get him home where he's supposed to be, and then he just hops the fence and takes off again. There can be no more of that kind of shenanigans. There's enough of that. So part of the reason the ram's challenging the fence is, I mean, hormones are a given, but the other one is, I mean, you can see the maturity of the grass, and that directly affects its palatability. And we're really running short on some teenage grass, you know, some tasty grass. This is the last field where we have kind of anything, you know, you can see it kind of shot up and matured, but there is some green growth underneath. This was a field that we seeded last year. Last year was we had a massive heat wave, a lot of drought, and this year very similar. It was not nearly as hot, but certainly didn't get any moisture. So I need to turn the cows loose into here. We have a pipeline right away that comes through here that was put in a few years back, and similar issues, right? They can plant all the seed they want, but if it never gets any water, it's never going to grow. It's never going to take off. So the weeds sure come in this year. They come by, they picked all the weeds, retilled, reseeded, refertilized, and nothing's coming up. So I don't want to turn the cows loose on there because, of course, they'll just rut it all up to heck. So there's a crew coming today. They're actually going to put a temporary fence up here so that the cows can come in and just munch off what little green forbs are left below. And then, hate to say it, but it might be early feeding hay this year again. My current setup for water here, I just have a 1 cube tote with a hose. The ram that wants to get in, get out of here, bud. Tell you, shenanigans are going to be happening. And anyways, every couple days I got to bring one of these down and fill it up for the girls. Now, anecdotally, you may have heard the sheep don't require an awful lot of water, and you know what, you wouldn't be incorrect if you were to believe that. The challenge is you get a drought year and there's no morning dew, or there's no amount of rainfall, there's no moisture in the grass they're eating. Of course they're going to need a significant amount of water. So I got the ram moving here now. He's in this little paddock. This is what we refer to as the bale yard, because when we first bought the farm, this is actually where we kept all the bales. And I think there was some bales in here when we first got here. Logistically, it doesn't make any sense for us to keep bales in here anymore, but we still call it the bale yard. Right here is the corrals, and we've got this alleyway in the corrals. It's a real good place to get interest. You know, from a hormonal perspective, I want to get all the ladies up in here, and he'll come in. That's what worked for me last time. You can hear they know there's green treats. I'm going to use that to my advantage. So it would appear, I didn't even get to film it. It happened so quickly. I walked in with the bucket of grain, and he actually followed me in. And the girls never, because the gate's closed at the far end, so I never even got a chance to open the gate for them. So he's right where I need him. So I'll finish giving the ladies their water. Then I'll run back up and grab the stock trailer and see if we can't load them up in the trailer. Now here's something else to consider. So we've got this big stock water right here for the sheep that I just filled up. Now I fill that up, like I say, every day or two, and they drink it down quite a ways. And honestly, when I show up with the tote, they rush up for it, right? Every once in a while, one of them will actually jump right in the water trough. Usually one of the littler ones. And it's pretty easy to get in because they got all the other sheep pushing from behind. But once they're in there and they're all soaking wet, that wool coat is like a big sponge, right? So the ability for that animal then to jump back out of the trough is pretty much zero. So something to consider maybe down the road, putting a sheet of plywood over here and just cutting a 8 or 10 inch hole in there so they can just get their head in there but not their body. But we'll see. I'll have to evaluate it, see if it's going to be a problem. I don't want to fix something that's not really a problem, but there's definitely something I noticed could be a concern if I were to just leave a tote of water down here. If somebody ever jumped in, they're eventually going to get real heavy and tired. you know, I'm not down here 24 hours a day. Well, I got the stock trailer down here now, and last time I did this, actually, I had help from the wife. I was able to man the gate right here, and she was able to back up, and Buddy didn't go anywhere. I don't have that luxury today, so I'm going to open the the outer gate, I should say. Hopefully that stays in place. I'm going to have to kind of tie it up, back the trailer in, jump the fence, open the inner gate, open the back door to the trailer, and hopefully get him back where he's supposed to go. What could possibly go wrong? Trailer's here, door is open, ram is right there. There's also a giant gap right here that I really can't fill very well. So I'm just gonna hope that I can just kind of sneak around the side of the ram and he's just gonna pop right up in there. There's a lot of faith going into what happens next. Okay, Ranger, come on out of there, bud. We need this big fella to go up where he's supposed to go. Come on, fella. Ranger, come. Well, that went better than I had feared it may have gone. Well, here we are back up at the farmyard. Trailer's all backed up to the barn door. I left it just a little ways away from the barn door because, again, I'm working by myself today. Usually I'd back them right into the door, swing everything open, I'd have Carmen drive the truck forward. But I'm by myself here today, so I'm basically gonna open the door and then hopefully he can just shoot out, and then I'll slam the big barn door. And I'll have him in here, and then I'll have to move some panels around to get him back into where he's supposed to be. Come on out, fella. Closed up. Perfect. We're gonna go outside now, bud. Boy, I tell you, here's a project that we started and never finished. The barn. The summer's just gone so terribly quickly that I had grand intentions of getting in here and actually putting up like kick plates and all that kind of stuff. Just hasn't materialized. Just haven't had the time. You know, I've been focusing on basically just survival at this point. Getting the hay in, put up, stored out of the elements. But hey, you stay there for now, bud. But yeah, anything extracurricular really hasn't happened this year, which is unfortunate. But you get what you get. There's only so many hours in a day, right? So I've had these rams chewing the grass down in here, which they've done a pretty good job of. And I got an old hay bale in there for them from last year, which I'm sure tastes, you know, pretty bland, but it's not like they have a shortage of feed. But there is some stuff in the alleyway here, which is looking pretty lush, right? Because it does get, you know, anytime we did get rain coming off the barn roof, it is landing here and kind of watering this grass. And so I think I'll just leave the panels set up the way they are. I'll let Buddy out here, and that'll keep him entertained for a day at least, anyways, on the fresh stuff. Come on out, fella. There you go. I got to tell you, one thing I find is a real struggle with these rams. Well, just a black-faced one, actually, just that big Suffolk, is this page wire that we put up. So I mean, this stuff works really good for small herbivores that are typically grazing, got their head down, and they don't generally raise their head up above their shoulders, right? They're always kind of browsing. But a fellow like that, who's, you know, he's a constant high stepper, 90% of the time his head's up, he's looking, he's sniffing, he can smell the estrogen across the farm, because of course the days are getting shorter, the girls are starting to cycle, and he's getting interested, right? Perfectly normal, natural thing. So if I were to ever have to, you know, redo this, I would spend the money. I know I would probably wince at how much money, but I would spend the money and put a 5-foot page wire fence up, because, you know, right now I know he can clear 4.5 feet. So 5 feet, maybe 2 strands of barbed wire. I don't know if he can go much further than that. Really what he does is he just, you know, his biggest thing is he doesn't even jump on this. This stuff is like 42 inches. Is he just pushes on it, right? He just pushes on it until he folds it over, and he goes through the gap between the top of the page wire and the barbed wire. And away he goes on an escapade. But if you look at these two fellas, they're very well conditioned, very well fed. So even though the, you know, the ground, the grass and stuff, it is getting chewed down, it is getting mature. I've got no qualms about carcass quality. Yes, that's right, boys. I said carcass quality, so you keep it up. You know where you'll be. Sausage casings. That's where you'll be. It's the only fence that can keep you in. Anyways, with everybody back where they're supposed to be, I think now's about a good time to hop in the truck and head to Bear Canyon for the afternoon. So I'll let you go. I hope you have a wonderful afternoon. We'll see you tomorrow.